been some technical difficulties coming through, but right now we have Unknown versus Inverse that are going to be taking each other on in the DPC South America Division II. My name is Tim, aka Dktruman. I'll be bringing you this fun little shenanigan called Dota 2. Let's get this show on the road. Can we get an absolutely stellar performance to see who's going to be able to take the enemy down for, well, the count in that regard? We're only very early on in towards DP season. Of course, Unknown team, a very well-renowned team in the South American region. Have had some pretty decent results in the past, but both these teams survived for a little bit longer, primarily Peruvian players. A couple of them that you definitely would, of course, see and remember. Oh, a couple of new ones in the rosters as well. As we can see, the draft here: Io, Leshrac, Luna, Dawnbreaker, and Spiritbreaker. That means we got them 2 breakers in this game. Lesh probably mid, Io, Luna together, pause for Spiritbreaker with a Dawnbreaker offlane. Dawnbreaker offlane, always solid. Interesting to go for the Spiritbreaker last pick, though. Will be an interesting affair later down the line. But with the Medusa already picked up on the side of Inverse, Medusa is super solid, especially with the Ogre Magi. Ogre Magi, very tanky, can block off most of the attacks coming through. So that should be pretty A-okay. In that regard, and with the center, they also have a way of getting the Deuce out. So they got a buff with the Deusa. They got the Snapfire, of course, that can cookie the Deusa away. They've got the Mars to block everything off. Centaur Stampede from the Centaur. They've got a lot of ways to keep this Deusa alive in the game. However, it is interesting to see the Centaur being picked up. That means this is definitely going to be a Mars in the middle lane on the side of Inverse. Miggy going to pick that one up. I mean, super tanky lineup from him. I mean, they got 4 strength heroes plus a Deusa. Luna has one big problem, and that's tanky heroes are very hard to take down. Well, it's going to be a definite tough match. I mean, looking at it, both sides have tons of sustain. You got the Io Dawnbreaker on Unknown. They're going to go for sustain and healing, whereas their opponents, they're going to go for the sustain in, well, straight up having way more HP than their direct opponents. And the Ogre, as we can see, 5 wins, 5 MVPs in the last 20 matches. That's definitely not a bad score to witness.
The time for preparation is short. Use it wisely.
You precious weak thing. Blessings upon a loyal warrior.
To a future of grief.
Sorry for those Windows sounds. Everyone getting distracted in the process. And a smoke gang from Inverse already getting aggressive. A high position ward being placed. Smoke not being broken. Or actually the Deusa smoke got broken. So they might think that there's a ward over there. However, I don't necessarily know if the Dawnbreaker spotted him. But if they did see the smoke break, which I doubt, might actually expect a ward to be there, and then they try to counter ward on the other end. I forgot about one very crucial aspect, and that is gotta turn that mic on. I think that's the correct one. Sorry for these slight issues, but hopefully there will be no more issues going forward, and we can enjoy this game, this beauty of a game. I mean, you've got an Io Spiritbreaker support duo. That's just gonna be.
Of 10 people on the line. This is Dota.
Pretty. Actually, no, it's an offlane Bada,
It's all coming together.
which means this is a 5-position Dawn Breaker, I think. Yeah, this should be a 5-position Dawn Breaker guarding the Luna in the bottom lane. Okay. Or 4-position Dawn Breaker. I think it's a 5-position Dawn Breaker. I mean, the Dawn Breaker in general is just stupidly strong in the laning stage. Most of the new heroes tend to be that case. I mean, Mars, even though we haven't seen it in pro matches because, well, it's not in Captain's mode yet, is definitely renowned to be an absolutely ridiculously strong hero in the laning stage.
I'll take that.
In a mid lane matchup between the Lesh and the Mars, Lesh doesn't really have much right-click damage, and the Mars has a lot of HP. Well, not yet, but with a bottle, a couple of extra items, maybe a bracer here and there. Doesn't die that easily to a Lesh. Okay, bash from the Bada. Way you want to play the game, RNG in your favor. Another bash, there we go. That's just perfect. Now the offlane Spirit Breaker, the Echo Saber, Silver Edge kind of build. Always superb. I'm actually wondering, because Armlet's like the item these days. It's stupidly OP. I'm really curious if you could possibly go for an Armlet Spirit Breaker. As you can see, pretty decent stats. Attack speed always nice. A lot of extra strength. Not too bad. I haven't seen one though yet, and I don't think I'll be seeing one this time because Echo Saber, it's like the king of items for Spirit Breakers and other heroes that are reliant on bashing their opponents. Think CK, think Slardar, where it's just get as many attacks in as possible on a hero that has incredibly slow attack speed. Charge stop, going for the Dusa underneath the tower. Dusa taking a decent chunk of damage, but how are you going to kill the Spirit Breaker in this lane? There's like really no way to easily kill him. You've got the IO backing him up with the headdress, healing self, tangos. He's going to be one buff, tanky boy.
Better my blade than theirs.
Well, currently farming is going pretty decent. Spirit Breaker cancels his charge. I mean, charging the Ogre, like, let's see. Ogre just barely has less HP than the Mars. Mars is 2 levels higher. Because Ogre's strength gain is still stupid. 3.3 on an int hero.
His family will understand.
Actually, at the start of the game, said that they had 4 strength heroes and Medusa, but I forgot that Ogre's an int hero. But yeah, I kind of count him as a strength hero because he's so bullishly strong. And Medusa, though, taking a lot of damage. While in the meantime, bottom lane,
first blood.
we'll find
Thanks and
ours,
have
and
fun.
who's had some struggles in this lane already with the Dawnbreaker's damage coming out and the Luna being able to spam away the Lucent Beam plus auto attack damage. Well, currently, they're all just farming away.
There is little hope for Dire's middle tower.
In a very solid fashion. Aggressive charge. The Eye, of course, got a healing self in case it's needed. Medusa's taking a lot of damage though, but luckily enough the Ogre comes in and it gets a little bit too dicey to continue. Healing self can't be used by Moonlight because he had a dot on him, but right now he could pop it, get that Spirit Breaker back to full HP, can go for another charge onto Dusa, and Dusa probably dies at that point. if the charge actually connects. But luckily enough, there is the Ogre. Hooking up the damage, gets bashed up in the process, taking a lot of damage. Will they be able to get the kill? Movement speed increased by the body block from Moonlight. Slaw's in trouble. He's an Ogre Magi. He's actually just an Ogre Magi. Oh, the bottom lane. It's gonna be feeling caught out. Cookie into Stomp. Do a lot of damage. It's actually a different build than you sometimes tend to see. I mean, there are two different solid builds on Snapfire. You've either got the Scatter Blast max level or you've got the Lil Shredder. And in this case, I guess they want to have more of that instantaneous damage, even though if you get on the Dusa, on top of the Dusa with the Lil Shredder, she does shred the pieces.
There is little hope for Radiant's middle tower.
Well, they're gonna go in onto the Centaur. Body blocks by Feeling. Arzent not very fast without his boots. Feeling could go for the stun, but they're not gonna chase for more because the Luna knows that it's gonna take quite some time to kill off the Centaur, and you probably miss an entire lane of creeps. A creep wave. So that would be slightly problematic, though currently it is an advantage in favor of Team Unknown. But they wait a little bit longer, take him down. Then afterwards, Adrian top lane, very low in HP, but the chase will not continue because the Ogre stops it from happening. But currently, all three lanes of Team Unknown winning. Plus side for Inverse is the fact that the Snapfire position 4 is pretty decently farmed, but this game is most of the time won by cores.
Radiant are scanning for enemies.
Nothing currently that top lane charge with that haste rune charging forward, gets himself a catch on Dawnbreaker, and Dawnbreaker will be finished off. Well, immediately the Luna disengages from the fight. They know a fight just happened bottom.
Dire structures are fortified.
And the Lesh knows the Mars isn't here, so tries to push the mid tier 1 tower with the Diabolic Edict, but Mars is a pretty fast boy.
Soak it in!
Does miss his spear though. But we'll at least be able to keep that tower alive for a little bit longer. Centaur now done with the Vanguard. He's going to be very hard to kill. But it seems they want to go in for the Centaur. Cookie stunned. Up stomp in. There's the turnaround. A lot of damage being dealt. Feeling falling back. I mean, Centaur with a Vanguard is incredibly tough to destroy. Adrian is just never dying for some reason. Will there be a bash? No, the stun from Slon. Any TPs to try and help out? No name, he really wants this kill. Adrian in on the retreat. There are TP. Only the Centaur has a TP. Now the Mars as well, but the charge will finish the job, and that's going to be the Dusa taken out. Bashes galore with the attack speed buff from the IO Slaw. We'll just have a very slow down. And Moonlight picks that one up. Yeah, top lane 100% won by the Radiant side. Constantly hunting for more. Centaur Stampede, Snapfire, the turnaround, Dawnbreaker, he's low in HP. There's going to be the control. Arsent, double edge. Takes down his opponent, but they will find the trade into Monty. Well, top lane, Medusa is being charged, but this time there is going to be a TP coming through. From the Ogre, will it be enough? No, Adrian, another strike. Oh, TPing in towards that top lane while you know you've just been destroyed behind your tower before. It's not great. Marina, catch on to 2, looking for a good spear, finds the spear breaker, relocate. Attempt, and he gets him away. Thank you very much. Io with the save. The rotation from the rest of Unknown. Make sure the Io stays alive. All about timing, though, with the Dawnbreaker and the Lesh here. They're gonna go aggressively on towards a charge for the Mars. Will he be able to kill? There is no arena, there's no spear, there's no mana. 7 magic wand, though. Slaw will be the one that will be found out in the end. Body block from Yayo. By the way, is
Your elements purged.
at least level 30 Io?
Dire's top tower is in danger. Dire's top tower has fallen.
Relocate, bottom lane, Mortimer's Gift says, will they be able to catch up to Mars? That's a Stampede, they turn around, they find a double. The Stampede, does it keep the Mars alive? Not really, because the charge from the Bara is a little bit too scary to handle. Charge forward, the Cookie doesn't get into the high ground. No, Bara doesn't have himself a bulldoze. I would think he'd be in trouble, but never mind, they just have too much damage with the Lash right behind them. Nether Strike, even on towards the Mars to interrupt the regen. That's just gonna cost No Name his life.
Radiant's bottom tower is in danger.
What a bounty!
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack. Radiant have fortified their structures against attack.
Io not too surprising them for the Holy Locket first item. We're 2k ahead, well 1 to 2k ahead in the first 11 minutes of the game. It's
Fallen.
actually a lot closer considering how that laning stage went. Oh, Mars will be able to find a Dawnbreaker. Or will he? Oh, that was clutch on that Celestial Hammer. Actually leveled up the Celestial Hammer for the extra
Is now active.
cast range.
Radiant's bottom tower is in danger. Radiant's bottom
Lash
tower is under
Yule's
attack.
first item. Ogre, if he doesn't go hand to Midas, you know, it ain't worth it. That's what we want. Ooh, Dusa stacks. Triple stack of Ancients. Don't mind if Dusa do. I mean, he needs to catch up somehow towards that Luna. Because Luna in the early game is probably one of the strongest farmers. A couple of levels in Moonclaves and Luna Blessing. And Dusa can definitely catch up, but Dusa needs a little bit more time to really start farming, because level 1 split shot doesn't necessarily do that much. I mean, the earlier levels.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
And glaive bouncing is very solid if you, for instance, hit a creep camp with 3 creeps. It keeps bouncing between them, whereas if you use split shot, you do hit all 3 at the same time.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
But 1 glaive hits 1 creep multiple times, if you've got a couple of levels, of course.
The Dire scan, on the hunt for Radiant forces.
Charge towards mid, the Deuce sets the target, pops the Stone Gaze immediately, but that's a very aggressive Dawnbreaker ulti though. And uses his like Celestial Hammer a little bit too soon, so an easy pickup for Team Inverse. Definitely some communication issues there. Expecting them to go for the fight, but honestly, if the Deuce pops her ulti, yeah, you just run away. And Inverse smoking up, but it was under ward vision, so the Radiant knows exactly what's coming their way. But the Luna is trying to farm up the Ancient stack, is gonna fall back so that doesn't get caught. Meantime, on the other side of the map, the Io Lesh are just farming together. Centaur, no blink just yet. He does have a lot of sustain. Mars is actually going for the blink right now. Mid-Mars, by the way. Bottom of all the cores. Currently below a Spirit Breaker in farming. Well, we know Spirit Breaker is god-awful in farming. So find a way to catch up. Either kills or farm up some jungle stacks. But the problem is you've got a Deuce on your side. You're not going to give away your stacks towards Mars. Both sides currently just content with farming. Although Lesh is going to go for the Eternal Shroud. Of course, they do have a decent amount of magic damage on the side of Inverse. And having that healing coming back is pretty nice. Great spear. Relocates wasted as well. And with one singular spear, that team fight attempt is over for the side of Team Unknown.
Is in danger.
Medusa is only 500 gold away from the Luna, so she's catching up pretty nicely. Luna going for the BKB. After Dragonlance, immediate BKB, that means you're not going to be that fastest in farming, but you're looking for fights. And honestly, of course, looking at the lineup of Inverse, you definitely don't want to take this game late if you're a Team Unknown.
Radiant should look to their middle tower.
I really do agree with the fact that they're just getting themselves that early BKB. Can take a fight right now, which would be a surprise for Team Inverse. You still have to be careful of the Stone Gaze, because that interrupts it massively. Blink in from the Centaur Stampede as well. They're trying to run away from the fray. Another strike, nice catch on towards the Mars, who still has the arena to catch enemies with, but the problem is there's no Dusa, so they won't have any damage regardless. They managed to find a kill. Did cost a lot on both sides. Eclipse, you've got the Nether Strike used, the ulti from the Dawnbreaker, all three ultis on the Radiant side. It is surprising that the Mars didn't decide to use his arena, even just to like give him a way out of the fray.
Dire should look to their top tower. Radiant should look to their middle tower.
Well, the mid-tier one does get secured,
Dire's top tower is under attack.
which is a pretty good way to open up the map with the bottom tier one also gone. And you can now roam in the enemy's jungle a little bit more aggressively. Otherwise, you'd always be fearful of that quick TP and then Spirit Break charging. And to be fair, most of the time you still have to be very wary. They've got Relocate, they've got Dawnbreaker, and they have Bara Charge. They've got pretty much global presence the entire time. That means Dusa needs to stay in areas where she doesn't get spotted, because one nasty relocate could be her downfall.
Radiant's bottom tower is in danger.
And is going for the eye, Scotty, knowing one very important fact against Team Unknown. As I mentioned previously, Team Inverse, very tanky in the fact that they just have really tanky heroes, strength heroes, and an Ogre and a Dusa who just don't die easily. On the side of Team Unknown, they are mainly, their sustain comes out from regen, which does mean that you're gonna need yourself some healing reduction. Spirit Breaker caught out, that's a big catch, plus some Courier Snipe.
Each brave career.
So the net worth now in favor of Team Inverse, and it's starting to look troubling. As mentioned, that Eye Scotty is very good against both the IO and the Dawnbreaker.
Radiant should look to their middle tower.
Well, currently farming is going pretty decent. Stun onto the Lash, gets surrounded. Ulti in though, heals him up, keeps him up. Jamak, they're gonna go for the focus. IO, meantime, they lose a 1-for-1 trade, but Lash keeps pumping up damage with his ulti. However, they're not really losing that much HP. The fight is being won currently by Inverse. Eclipse comes out, and Adrian needs to get back. Doesn't necessarily take that much damage. So 2 for 2 trade, but they did lose their mid and their off laner on the side of Inverse, and probably the tier 2 tower a top lane as well. Going back in, feeling, tries to get the catch onto the Dusa. Suns comes out. Great control, Dusa out of mana, Dusa in trouble. The Ogre can't really help his ally anymore, and that's a big, fat, juicy fight. Buyback was used by the IO. But all in all, definitely a wonderful fight for Team Unknown. It looked like it was going to head into Inverse's way, but once that Luna came in charging with that Eclipse, a lot of damage was able to be dealt.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack. Dire are scanning for enemies. Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
Luna was so fairly close to use the spear. I thought maybe he'd go for the charge onto the Mars before he gets his BKB.
Double damage.
What's the Centaur just getting to? Okay. Wait, why did he send out the recipe instead of the Mithril Hammer then, though? Wouldn't it be better to have like an added 24 damage instead of your 2 healing cells?
This will provide.
Interesting choice. Oh, there we go. The Tumblers. Spirit Breaker getting smacked against the wall. Kill. He managed to take down the Spirit Breaker again, who does tend to die a decent amount. But again, it's a Spirit Breaker. It doesn't matter too much, even though it is an offlaner. As long as it isn't the Luna or the Lesh, they're not that bothered. Medusa though, Iascati done very tanky right now. Previous fight was already tanky, but picks it up a notch. Chop onto the Lesh. Stood under the tower very aggressively. Relocate is gonna mean the end of the IO. Tries to sprint away, but the problem is the moment they turn around.
Hello.
It's a right click for the
Thanks for
Dusa.
playing Dota
Thank you
2.
very much.
Double
Easy kill. Continues on. And Inverse look like they're in control. Meditative beeps. Yep.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack. Radiant structures are
All bottom
fortified.
lane. Centaur, he's done with the pipe. So a lot of magic damage is at least going to get taken care of, which is problematic for the Lesh because he's pretty much only magic. Well, actually, I'm lying.
Tower is under attack.
Wait, Diabolic Edict is pure damage?
Tower is no more.
I swear I thought it was physical.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
When did it become pure? That's nuts. I haven't played Lesh that much as of late. The more you know. In towards the Roche pit they go. Jump in. Arena catch on to the Lesh. But he will to the next one. Big heal on the Lesh. Doesn't keep him alive though. In the pit. No name trying to run away. Luna's going to get stunned up. Luna's surrounded, and the Dusa will be able to find the first life. Luna, of course, does have an Eclipse once he comes back up. Top! Trying to get it done, but with the shard, Monty
Killing spree.
immediately stuns up
Ownage.
the Luna. And Luna is down for the count. Ogre on the side. Stuns up the IO. They're going to chase down Moonlight. Crisis get himself back with the tether, but Big Cookie on a gigantic Mars will mean no chance for any continuation. While Adrian is already pushing them into two. He knows his objectives.
Tower is under attack.
Doesn't care about hunting down one stray IO. Because right now, you can just walk up the high ground. Or stay on the low ground and hit the high ground. Start pumping out damage. If he wants to. However, I guess it's a little bit spooked, even though the enemies don't really have that much that they can use currently. S and Y instead of the Manta style this game. Interesting choice. Status resistance is actually very solid, plus a little bit of extra HP. Smoke gag being used on the side of Unknown. They're gonna go for the charge. They're the enemy's jungle. They can spot them out. Anyone else but Snap or the Dusa who's going to get charged first. Dusa's very tanky though. Can they stun lock her? It's going to be very tough. Dusa off the OP. Stunned on the side of the Radiant. All of them in trouble. Lesh is going to get taken out. The chase for more. There's the spear. Arceus in trouble. The Luna does get the heal, but it's not anywhere close to enough. A big, gigantic fight. Charging from No Name. For some reason decides he wants to take the fight a couple of seconds afterwards, and he's just gonna get smacked down. That's a 5-for-0 trade, and the Dusa is just too strong to handle. Team Unknown, their sustain is definitely inferior to the fact that Team Inverse just don't take damage. They spent out most of the spells on the Dusa, and she lost about half her mana. And then the rest of her team was behind it. I mean, look at the HP. 1800, 2200, 2k, 2.5k, well, pretty much 4k in that regard with the mana pool. On the other side, we've got 1800, 1600, almost 2k, 1800, and 1700. They don't have a single player on the side of Team Unknown over 2k HP. And Inverse only have one player under 2k HP. That's an ogre running around with 10 armor and a glimmer.
Its top tower is under attack.
So yeah, game's pretty tough. Dusa is pretty fat. Titanic next is Silver Edge built up on the Dusa. You don't do that too often. You break that Spirit Breaker charge in. Arena comes out, wants to go for Moonlight, knows that the IO needs to die first in the fight. Luna is trying to keep the IO alive, but that's not going to be the case. Dusa charges forward as well with the Stone Gaze, who does tremendous amounts of damage. And Team Unknown on the retreat. Inverse absolutely destroying right now. 14k net worth advantage. Creeps are pushing out mid so they can walk up the high ground. Bottom lane, because first stop's already dead. Well, in the meantime, you have some split push coming out from the center, making sure the enemy's tier 2 tower top will fall and they can finish the job by securing megas.
Tower has fallen. Radiant's bottom barracks are under attack. Radiant's bottom barracks has fallen. Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Well, currently, the high ground push coming in. You do have a little bit of a defense attempt with the Split Earth, which of course, combined with that shard, does keep spreading out and further it goes. But a Silver Edge Dusa. Sneaky snack. Actual sneaky snack. Walking up the high ground, well smoked. Spot out the Lesh, won't be able to get the immediate jump. But Adrian just dodging the enemies. Via trying to focus down that tier 3. It should be doable. Charge from the side, but what can you do? Dudes, Luna does have the Daedalus ready, but not the shard yet. Needs that shard. Try and bully from a range. Now the Shrek coming in on towards the Mars. Big heal attempt. Does keep the Shrek alive for quite some time, but there's the Dusa ulti, so you gotta be careful. Dusa doesn't have himself a BKB. He needs to be careful for all these Split Earth, but Feeling's already dead. Lesh is surrounded. No way to survive. Take that 2 kills. And they still have everything and everyone alive on the side of Inverse. Charge towards the center. Arena doesn't bloom up in time, but that's going to be a die back onto Feeling. While on the side, the Cookie won't be able to set up the Luna, but the Mars Spear does. Plus the center stomp on top. Spear Breaker, he's in trouble. Everyone is down for the count, and that is indeed going to be Inverse. I assume just finishing up the Radiant base. And the GG gets called. The game gets secured. And that is Inverse with a 1-0 lead after the first map played. Well, looked very close for a very long time. Early laning stage went amazing for Unknown Team, but once the team fights came out, it really was just the fact that Dusa couldn't really die that much because they had like Centaur Stampede, they had the Arena to keep them off of her, they had the Ogre Magi to peel, they had the Cookie plus stun from the Snapfire to push them away. So in a sense, I mean, yeah, it was just waiting until the Dusa got strong enough, and then they just ran down every lane, shutting down Team Unknown, securing the opening map. But of course, that is only the first game of a best of 3. Can Unknown Team get themselves back in the fray and get themselves back on track? You'll have to wait and see for that one to transpire in the second map. So we'll see you guys then. We'll go to a short commercial break, and we'll be back in a bit.
It is Dire's ban. It is Radiant's ban. Dire's turn to ban. It is Radiant's ban. Dire's turn. Radiant's turn to pick.
Weaver.
Radiant's turn to pick.
Disruptor.
Dire's turn to pick.
Tide Hunter.
Ten seconds. 5 seconds remain. It is Dire's ban.
Admiral Kunkka.
Radiant's turn to ban. Seconds
Welcome,
remain.
ladies and gentlemen. We're back on track.
5 seconds.
Game number 2 is about to go underway. We've got ourselves the drafting phase. And currently, both sides going for that team fight. Of course, the Kunkka and the Weaver, kind of like the two most played heroes currently. The professional scene, we've even seen Kunkka safe lanes, but Weaver is most definitely going to be a position 4. It tends to go for like the Spirit Vessel or maybe
It is
Medallion
Dire's ban.
into Ags. The save is still insanely insane.
Radiant's ban. Dire's turn to ban.
But on the side of Unknown Team, you've got the Tide Disruptor, super solid combo, of course. You've got the Ravage into some kinetic field, so silencing the enemies, especially the Weaver. Oh, I love the choice here to
10
go
seconds.
for that Kunkka pick. The reason why Kunkka is so amazing against
5
Disruptor is the
seconds
moment someone
remain.
Disruptor glimpses anyone in your team, Kunkka just uses X marks the spot on that person and saves their life. So it is a very solid way to save people from getting glimpsed into oblivion. Of course, later you've also got the Weaver with the Ags that can kind of do the same, blink in, and then use his ulti to save someone out of it. So the two first inverse heroes are pretty much saving heroes in that regard, though this Kunkka definitely
10
should be a core.
seconds.
Question is, what kind of core?
5 seconds.
Can head into all 3 of the lanes and abuse that fact, so flexible in that regard. The rest of the heroes so far, Quap ban, Bat Rider ban, I mean those are definitely heroes that inverse do not want to pick up themselves against the Tide Hunter, because Tide Hunter just shrugs all those dots off like it means nothing. And currently the bans, I mean Mars ban, Dusa ban, Io ban, a couple of those, and Snapfire ban, so respect being sent out between the two teams. Even though inverse, I think they banned out the Snapfire while they played it last game. But the Mars plus Dusa ban definitely respect bans. Well, Team Unknown, one more ban. The Ogre 5 out of the 10 heroes last game are banned. Oh, that's a great Rubik pickup. It's a good Rubik game. I mean, honestly, everything from the Kunkka is kind of worth to steal. X marks the spot, Torrent, Ghost Ship. Later on, you can also, of course, steal the Waveform or the Torn Storm. If Tidal Wave, it's called. It's not Waveform. Waveform is for Morphling. My bad. But yeah, Kunkka's Ags and Shard are also great things for the Rubik to steal. And of course, you can always steal Shikuchi, which is just nice in its own way. Makes you elusive around the team fight. Dodge and weave being a nuisance. Personally, big Rubik fan. Close to being my most played hero. I'm not good at it, but I love playing it. Especially if you steal those big spells, which they have themselves. I mean, currently with the Disrupted Tidehunter, if you get to steal like a Ghost Ship on Rubik, phew, your team fight would be insane. An inverse. Figure out a plan of attack. So the Weaver's definitely going to lane against the Disruptor, because the Rubik will be playing +4. You need a 5 position that can handle that Centaur. Warrunner choice again for inverse with the Hoodwink. I mean, they both have a couple of spells that Rubik wouldn't mind stealing. Centaur Stampede, Hoof Stomp are pretty good spells to steal. Hoodwinks, honestly, definitely the Sharpshooter and Bushwhack.
10 seconds.
Especially the Bushwhack is so good on the Rubik, but the Sharpshooter itself can really tear people apart with the extra cast range that Rubik gets and the spell amplification from his passive. But the reason why Hoodwink is very good this game is the Sharpshooter, of course, also does a break. And it's one of the only heroes that still has a break in their toolkit. And he can use that to pretty much break the Tidehunter so that they can pounce and destroy the Tidehunter without his dots and stuns and whatnot getting removed. Sven is a interesting choice. You don't get to see a lot of Svens, though still one of the strongest flash farms in the game.
10 seconds remain. 5 seconds. It is Radiant's ban.
Oh, with the Voker banned out. I wouldn't have expected a Voker ban, though. Is this going to be a mid Kunkka then, or are they actually going for the safe lane Kunkka? Are they actually going to pull out the, well, what is currently pretty much the norm in Southeast Asia and EU East?
5 seconds was turned to ban.
Razor very good against Sven, of course. I mean, unknown team, they still need a mid laner, but it depends on last pick of inverse. Because against the Kunkka, if it's a mid Kunkka, you kind of don't want to play one of the spirits. TA banned out. Okay, well, TA is kind of very annoying, unless you can take Roche out and very quickly with the Weaver on your side. I think TA ban is
5 seconds.
pretty solid. Especially because Disruptor and Rubik get like 2 shot by a decently farmed TA in the mid game.
Radiant's turn to pick.
Warlord.
Troll last pick, very solid against the Sven, of course, because you can stack up your attack speed going on, and the Void Spirit last pick for unknown. Are they actually putting... well, Void Spirit's not the worst spirit against Kunkka. Actually, it's probably the best spirit against Kunkka. Because if you get X marked, you can just dissimulate and dodge it. Same with the ghost ship. You can pretty much dodge it if you play correctly. And the most important thing is that you can immediately try and pounce on the Weaver or Hoodwink. I think this is a Weaver 5 though, so that means Ags is going to be very, very, very delayed. The Hoodwink Centaur, of course, is a pretty solid lane. You've got that stun up. That is pretty nutty. With the Bushwhack into Hoof Stomp. Disruptor Sven. I mean, the Centaur might have a little bit of a trouble in the early parts of the laning stage, but for the most part should be just fine. In that lane, the Centaur Hoodwink should, I think, have the better kill potential over Disruptor Sven. You've got the Rubik Tide. Rubik Tide versus Troll Weaver. No, that should be Troll Weaver favored, actually. And then the mid matchup, Kunkka doesn't really die to a Void Spirit. Void Spirit, unless he makes a big mistake, doesn't really die against Kunkka. I think two lanes should... I like inversus lanes more.
Prepare for battle.
The big threat that I do think that Team Unknown have on their side is the fact that the Sven can, like, if the Sven has a reasonable lane, he can snowball very, very heavily out of control.
You are a true friend.
Oh, before I forget,
30 seconds to
I
battle.
definitely need to small and...
Let the countdown begin.
I think that's supposed to be transparent.
The battle begins.
Oh. Quickly sorting everything in the correct position, I think. Oh, a 2-for-2 bounty rune trade. Sorry for the slight delay in that regard, but we are starting with this second map. Of course, as you see, the Disruptor, bunch of Thunder Strikes that he can spam with that Enchanted Mango. And could go with that mid matchup against the Void Spirit. It's ready to whip, which surprisingly enough did not connect. But a lot of harass on both sides. Weaver versus the Tide Hunter, minus armor available for the Tide. So you could run someone down, but in all honesty, the Weaver is just pesky. Just very, very annoying. Torrent gets a catch, but Aether Remnant as well, though it's a Kunkka who's running around with 880 HP already. Doesn't really care that much, and both of them gonna go for that bottle first item, just so that they have that extra continuous regen in the mid lane. Yeah, I don't really think there should be any decent kill potential here. Gonna mainly be focused on this lane. As you can see, Disruptor First Blooded, Arceus taking a lot of damage as well. How does that not become a full creep wave pull? Sometimes this game baffles me. But yeah, the Centaur going first item Ring of Health means he's just gonna be too tanky to ever lose his life. Roll, drag back, nice slow coming in. The buggos though, gotta be careful because they might turn it around. Bugs do a decent amount of minus armor. Look at that, he takes almost full burst damage. Weaver going for the kill. Gets the damage reduced, but has the Shikuchi. And is actually gonna get taken down, but Adrian, in the end, does get the catch with the whirling axes. So a lot of aggressive movements at the start. Eighth Remnant onto the Kunkka. Still has a bottle, and in case, you know, he needs to ever get a recharge, he can just X mark himself, TP back to base. I was hoping he'd go for like the Mind Games play, where he hits the Torrent all the way in the back while the Void Spirit dissimulates. You know, gotta play that 2D chess.
Bounty.
3D chess, 4D chess, not 2D. Chess is most of the time if you play 2D on the interwebs.
No.
I mean, these bugs are so annoying because Tidehunter doesn't have great attack speed. I mean, Tidehunter has atrocious attack speed. Those bugs take quite some hits to take down. And you get armor reduced on the Tidehunter. He doesn't even have Kraken Shell, so he actually takes a lot of damage by the troll just ticking away at his HP.
Radiant's middle tower.
Oh, big Neutral Creep Gam stack. No name on the run. So the Weaver needs to be careful himself. Lift up, drag back, smack down, slaw. Does he get taken down? The slow is there. Doesn't have a Shikuchi. And no name's the one that gets to secure the kill. The Weaver trying to aggressively move forward, but there's also a Tidehunter walking with a magic wand. I mean, this entire lane has magic wands and magic sticks, so they're trying to bait each other out. Doesn't really work that well. Because even though a Tide... Well, now he does have Kraken Shell, but without Kraken Shell, he's a pretty beefy boy. Arceus. Wait, Arceus is a Pokemon. Isn't he like the god of all Pokemons? Like Pokemon Platinum? Which I have never played. But I've seen YouTube videos of very, very funny people. Well, I think Hoodwink is done with the medallion flying out. Yep, armor reduction, always nice. Combination with the... Well, the center just does 77 auto attack damage. I honestly thought double edge was physical damage. My bad. But it works also pretty well with the Hoodwink's 8-gun shot being physical. No name, taking decent amount of damage, but again, magic wand available. Trying to bait them underneath the tower. Won't be dying anytime soon. They've got to be careful themselves. He's also got the Ring of Health. Slaw, very low in HP. Shikuchi's back to safety, but yeah, the Kunkka, the Tide, is not really a hero that you want to dive underneath the tower. Well, currently top net worth it is Adrian.
That should help.
I swear, isn't that from Rocky?
Visibility.
Radiant should look to the bottom tower. Dire scan. On the hunt for Radiant forces.
Jump in, Kunkka taking a lot of damage, does have a ghost ship, but he's already dead before he can even pop it.
Tower is under attack.
Void Spirit gets the solo kill on the Kunkka mid. Top net worth all of a sudden.
Radiant have fortified.
Even though the bottom lane looked very problematic for Arceus, he is still a Sven. A couple of levels in Great Gleave going for the Big boy Mask of Madness, and with Moonlight getting some stacks going, you're gonna have a big juicy farm for the Sven coming in momentarily. On the other side, same thing, kind of couple of decent stacks. Troll, however, is also going for a Battle Fury. It's been a while since I've seen a Battle Fury Troll. Ghost Ship comes out, no name, no game. Taken down. Blowing the Ravage would be just a complete waste. Argius knows exactly his enemies are nearby. Let's just take these stacks before they get anywhere close. And this right here, this is exactly the safe laner I always want. Where I stack the camps and they farm the camps. I mean, it would surprise you the amount of people that don't farm the camps. Even making sure that you farm it in a position where it is not close to, let's say, a random hoodwink walking in and stunning you up. Because you know you're going to get absolutely beaten to a pulp by these ancients. Oh, that's a nice one. Possessed Mask. Probably comboed it a little bit better. But he's just going to quickly regen in base. Don't want to risk too much. So that Weaver is taking a lot of damage from the Tide. And needs to make sure that, because if the Weaver is Shikuchi's, next to the Tide ends up, Tide would just Ravage, Gush, Anchor Smash, and he'd be dead. Definitely do have to be a little bit careful. Run, piggy, piggy, run. Why would you use that? It costs mana. Now it's on cooldown forever, whoever picks it up. Oh, Moonlight caught in the bottom lane. It is going to be the Armlet Kunkka. Unsurprisingly, Centaur probably going to go for the about the same. Yeah, he's going the same item build last game. Got a bunch of HP regen with Hood of Defiance plus Vanguard plus Blink. The classic I'm too tanky to kill build.
Gold for my chest.
I take that.
Dire should look to their top tower. Dire's top tower is under attack, Radiance, and eager to know Dire.
Well, Weaver can't really do anything but watch his tier 1 tower top get seized. However, so far it's just a 1-for-1 tower trade.
All wrapped up to take away.
In comes the whip.
Invisibility.
Ah, only 2 range creep. Sad.
Radiant should look to their middle tower.
Troll ulti used. Still farming up that Battle Fury, of course. He is very far ahead though for that Battle Fury. He only needs 1 more piece. That's going to be like a 12-minute Battle Fury. Maybe 13-minute. 12 to 13-minute battle, which is a very good timing on it. Of course, your opponent has a built-in Battle Fury. That's Argius, who's trying to catch up, going for the Echo Saber next. They find the Weaver top. But in this game, it's just a 5-position Weaver. It's not the end in the world. Rubik steals Double Edge. That's not a great spell to steal for a Rubik. Interrupts the TP though. Centaur Stampede. Get them back while Miggy does die mid.
Middle tower, Dire structures are fortified.
So the tier 1 tower mid slowly being sieged, but there's a rotation coming in as well. Weaver joining the fights. Shikuchi, tickle damage. Pops the infused raindrops. And Snipe actually going to miss. That's a little bit unfortunate. Not that it would have done that much. The tier 1 tower picked up by Team Unknown, even though the net worth advantage lies in Inverse's way. I mean, this troll is getting pretty juicy. Centaur trying to push mid, but the rotation coming in. Tide doesn't have a Ravage available. God, he has no fear. They're trying to get the Weaver catch, but won't be able to connect it. Void Spirit stunned up. Ghost Ship flying out. Doesn't get his jump away. Just barely Manages to jump to safety, or so he think. X marks the spot. Dissimulate. Does he jump to the trees? Will not be able to run away from the double edge. Took quite some time and a lot of spells, but Team Unknown will finally lose their Void Spirit in the favor of Inverse. The Tide still doesn't have Ravage for 50 seconds, so honestly you don't have much to fear.
A gift from the tempest of battle.
And the Sven's Echo Saber is done. He is catching up to the Troll, but the Troll is now done with the Battle Fury, so the Troll also will be increasing his farming speed. Both of them getting pretty ahead of themselves. So that center is surprisingly enough really stupidly farmed. Okay, there's a nice bushwhack, but
Killing spree.
unfortunately has to deal with 3 of the Dire Heroes. Courier Snipe added on top. In Inverse, they just feel a lot more active. Currently, Team Unknown, they just honestly playing the waiting game. Iggy sees an 8th remnant right in front of him, immediately decides to turn around. Nope. Creeps. Void Spirit Yules. Same story, of course. You don't want to get caught by the X mark while you have Dissimulate on cooldown, so he X marks you, you hit the Yules, you're just fine. Or, if the Troll pops his ulti, you just Yules the Troll. Also works superbly together. And you can always set up a stun combo, which is very much needed against the Weaver. Time Lapse is back. Looking all the way through, could get his Courier sniped. Yes, indeed, that happens. Oh, Hoof Stomp onto 2, but there's going to be the jump back. God Strength used, Weaver's dead. TPs get cancelled, Glimpses get used, and Inverse will lose their Weaver. But we'll look for the tier 1 tower towards mid. TP in from the Tide is here, surrounded by enemies. They have the break effect Doran in. Get the breaks. Doran comes up, but from behind, the rest of the team comes up. Sven tries to charge forward, doesn't have himself the Storm Hammer because he ran out of mana, but there's the Glimpse. The Kunkka, he got caught by the Glimpse because he used Pigpole. If he did not use Pigpole, he could have X-marked himself and stayed alive. That neutral item killed himself. Well, he got killed by his own usage of the neutral item. Otherwise, the moment that you get Glimpse, you just hit yourselves on the X mark, Glimpse lands, you X mark yourself back, you run away from the fight. Easy beasy. Unless they of course have stun lock, but still cool guy shouldn't die that quickly. Especially with the armlets into what is probably gonna be a Heaven's Halberd this game.
Dire are scanning for enemies.
I would say the Sven would probably go for the same. Heaven's Halberd later.
Radiant are scanning for enemies.
Knife coming out. Oh, that would be huge if they catch out Arceus. X-Mark goes ship, taken down. The Stampede was really not necessary unless, well, they might kill off a Disruptor, but who cares? To kill one off. Troll's going in for the Void Spirit. Gets locked down. His ulti gets kind of completely and utterly wasted.
Double kill.
They're looking for more. Blink is up in 5 seconds. Void Spirit's trying to keep them at bay, but he used everything. He doesn't have a way out from this torrent. Ravage is available.
Vanished.
The damage, luckily enough, or at least the stuns, could not be thrown on top of each other.
Tower.
Spirit Vessel next for the Weaver. Of course, as a 5 Weaver, you can't really afford going for the full Ags rush. Rubik kind of needs like a Blink Dagger or something to jump in the fight, steal a couple of good spells. Especially the spells from the Kunkka. I mean, he's got X marked, which is honestly very fine. You could save yourself as well if you get X marked or a G-mate. Because if someone gets X marked and you cast X mark after it, then it immediately gets rid of, like, the new buff takes over the old buff. So for instance, you get X marked, you X mark yourself, then his X mark disappears and only your own X mark will be on the Rubik, on yourself. That's a nice way of trying to make sure you don't get caught out if the Kunkka spots you. Who is, of course, as expected, going for that Heaven's Halberd. Really just wants to disarm the Sven in a team fight. The only real big threat, who is going to build up a Silver Edge. Got the BKB done.
Dire should look to their top tower.
Silver Edge, always nice. Get that break. Make sure there are no Fervor stacks coming out.
Radiant's middle tower is no more.
Well, the entirety of Team Unknown is top. And then from behind smoke, however, immediately gets popped. They spot each other out. High ground ward, good vision, center stampede charging in, gets a 2-man stop, and there's going to be the God Strength. Plus the Ravage. But Warlord can't pop his ult because he got silenced in the process. A 2-for-1 trade. Stolen Ghost Ship by the Rubik as well right before he fell. That's a big team fight victory coming out for Team Unknown. They walked right underneath vision and got completely and utterly caught off guard. Troll couldn't pop his ulti, doesn't have a BKB yet, so that's definitely going to be his next item. But a big, fat, juicy team fight victory for Team Unknown. And I mean, they're not going to go Roche just yet, even though they have a piece. They're not the fastest Roche, they're definitely not even close. But Tidehunter does have some nice minus armor to get rid of some of Roche's armor. Roche. Yeah, the horse in the Witcher series. Tide. Same story going for the Heaven's Halberd. Very good this game to have against the Troll Warlord. He pops his ulti, disarm, his entire ulti's wasted. So Sven has just overtaken the Troll. The net worth advantage still very close between the two teams. Centaur next. Crimson Guard. Not many people still build Crimson Guard though. But it is, yeah, fairly tanky. Weaver. Well, at least tank the smoke gank. So, honestly, not the worst. Center Stampede, charge in, onto the Disruptor. Of Stomp means Disruptor is going to get caught out. And there we have it. Kunkka X-marked his own Centaur to make sure that that glimpse would not be the downfall. They did use a Stampede for that kill. Whereas when Team Unknown got the kill on the Weaver, they kind of did not use anything.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Kunkka, Ags plus Shard. A lot more spells to steal with the Rubik. I mean, you're gonna need to time everything perfectly to not give away an amazing spell. You do the Rubik, otherwise it's so easy to steal. I mean, Tidal Wave is amazing. Ghost, the Torn Storm is always a blast. X mark.
Dire's bottom tower is under
I'm not going to connect. I would have expected him to at least, you know, throw a torrent behind it. Aggressive jump from the Tide. Same for the center on the other side. But they're both so tanky that it's very hard to kill them off. Someone gets hit by the ghost ship, but the ghost ship's now going to be on cooldown. Rubik's trying to find it to steal it away. Beaver.
Radiant's
Okay.
tower is under
Soul didn't realize that he just took a little bit of damage, but in the Roche Pit they go. And this is pretty risky. God Strength is used, but they actually, it's not that risky. Troll doesn't have a TP scroll. They probably saw that Troll didn't have a TP scroll bottom lane. So Troll can't fight. And that means you can't even attempt to take a fight top side. There's the Troll Centaur and Weaver both getting caught out. Yeah, that's a bit of a mistake. Gotta have yourselves a TP scroll, bro. That's going to be a free Aegis picked up by Team Unknown. Putting the net with almost to a dead even.
will always be to rise again.
I mean, I always love watching the Kunku with the Ags. It's gonna be one flurry of just waterworks.
Not so safe harbor, eh? 8 knots and full ahead.
Charge forward, they go and catch the Rubik, looking for more action. That's gonna be both supports caught off guard. They both don't have a buyback, actually. This is pretty dangerous. Centaur spots out Sven. TP gets cancelled by the Tide. He's got the Blink Rabbit, goes for the big 4-man Rabbit. God's refused. The Centaur in trouble. On the side, Weaver will be charged at. Throw one an ulti though. They're on top of each other. The cleave damage from Adrian coming in big. Torrent on top. The Gunda. Sven doesn't have a way out anymore. He's surrounded by enemies. He's taking a heap of damage. No BKB, does have the Mask of Madness if he wants to try and turn it around, but doesn't seem to be favorable because Void Spirit right now used every spell to try and keep his buddy alive. But his buddy is done and dusted, and his entire team gets absolutely abysmally destroyed. Adrian with an absolutely beautiful, tons of damage coming out. I mean, the Battle Fury on top of the fact that he has the Tide and Sven just hugging each other in the tree. But it all starts with that Centaur Blink, Centaur Stomp, exactly on point to catch out the Sven. Start out that fight. Plus now Ravage is also on cooldown, which is a big plus. They're looking for Feeling. And well, Feeling will get caught out. But not taken down? Or does he die? Oh, he does tick down. Do we even make sure he's close enough so that he gets that urn charge, because he already knew that that was 100% to kill. You know, that's how good Slaw is. A 5k net with advantage. It looked like Team Unknown got the advantage for quite some time, but I mean, the fight where they lost both the Disruptor and Rubik before the fight even started, who are probably, even though, yeah, everyone in their team pretty much are playmakers, but that Static Storm Kinetic Field has been very solid this entire game from the Disruptor. Same with a couple of these Rubik steals, a Ghost Ship steal here and there that he's been managing to secure. Have been very insane for the Team Unknown team fight. Ooh, he's got the Shard and the Ags. The scepter and the shard. Not the shard and the axe, because it's an Aghanim shard. So, Disruptor comes back to our dump. He gets
Shuttle and loom, I weep.
finished off. Weaver's going for his own shard, which is actually pretty nice. Normally,
Dire's bottom tower
if the
is
enemy has like a glimmer or something along those lines. No, they... Oh, actually, Sven does have a silver edge. So, the thing it does is if you get latched by the swarm, you can't be invis. Like, they will give you invis detection. Plus, if you hit anyone with Geminite attack within 1200 yard range, everyone that area will be hit by the Geminite, which honestly is a position 5 Weaver, so that part's not important, but the fact that it also gives you invis detection that you can't dispel, because you kind of need to kill the bugs or pop EKB, is pretty good against the Sven.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
DD. Bottle given to the troll, so he's got a bottled up DD. Basher's done, going for the Abyssal Blade. Kunkka's got himself the Aghanim Scepter. He's also going for the weak AB because they need some more ways to make sure that they don't get completely destroyed by one Static Storm Kinetic Field. Well, Troll doesn't, but the rest of the team kinda does.
Dire's
Oh, does he get the money?
tower is under attack.
Oh, just barely. 1.5 seconds away from not securing any money. Oh, gank, unknown. Trying to get the initiation themselves. The problem is Sven, he kind of needs to run up to them and give him the old bonk.
Dire are scanning for enemies.
Look at all these couriers flying here, by the way. Where would the enemy be? We totally didn't just see 4 couriers flying over with the Observer Ward, giving exactly away where your opponents are.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Oh, they're creeping in. Void Spirit nearby. Lift up. Jump in. Void Spirit immediately disengaging. No spells used really on either side. No damage even taken. Just saying hi. And goodbye. Stomp in onto the Rubik though. That is a lot better. Rubik completely controlled up. And again, the Rubik getting caught out. Like taken down. Ours has been the trees getting jumped. Got confused. Ravage flown. And looking for the kill onto the center. He is very tanky, but not tanky enough against the Sven with God Strength. There's the charge forward. Ghost Ship comes out. Torrent Storm as well, but Rubik is in trouble. He stole the Torrent. X marks the spot. Sends him back. Rubik tries to piggyback himself to victory. That's going to be a dieback come through the Rubik. The rest of the team on the disengage and team unknown looked like they would massively win that team fight, but they only got themselves that center. I mean, that's the problem. Look at how tanky Peaceful is. He's got this Pipe, Crimson Guard, Sanj, 2800 HP. It took them everything to maul him down, and now Adrian's just going to push up the high ground, get himself the top set of racks. Or, okay, Weaver quickly got out, the 5 Weaver down.
Radiant's top barracks has
With that double damage, the troll does do a heap of damage. Glimpse into X mark, save myself. Bye-bye. Look at that damage. The Kunkka Ghost Ship plus Torrent Storm in that team fight, plus the Troll Warrior going ham with the cleave and double damage. Just too much to handle.
Unlucky find.
Roche, 35 seconds until it respawns. Team's gonna be here eyeing it up. Of course, a free shard ain't no problem to get. Global active? Wait, that's global now? Grants all allied heroes 70. Oh, depending on which stance you have. Yeah, I forgot about that. I thought it was his Ags. His old Ags. But you could, like, pop your battle trance on an ally, which was weird. But kind of cool, but also very weird. I do love his Ags right now, though. Cooldown reduction, Void Spirit, Abyssal Blade, Inside some Connect Field. They don't want to pop their BKBs, but they did use a big cooldown chase on towards the rest of the team. Weaver, let's get the dust off. They're
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
trying to disengage. And they should be able to get themselves away, but Roche has just respawned, and the Dire team is very good at taking Roche. They've got the Weaver with Minus Armor. They've got the Minus Armor of the Hoodwink from that full Solar Crest, and they've got the Troll with the Fervor stacks. Look at Roche just melt away. And Roche is gone. Aegis plus Shard. Shard gifted to the Kunkka, but the jump coming in. They catch the Weaver. He's in trouble. He's going to be taken out. The Ravage gets blown. Does have a 3-man connection, but they're all still full HP. Troll pops the BKB looking for Argus. Argus a little bit too far away. Tide Hunter will be the target instead. Gets yeeted on the top of the tree. On the side though, the Hoodwink getting jumped. The Weaver trying to be useful, but oh, the disarm! Arzen gets the big Abyssal, the Heaven's Halberd disarm going to keep his Hoodwink alive, or so you'd think. At the end, the Hoodwink walks right back into the fray and loses life. But yeah, multiple fights, multiple kills coming out. Void Spirit still on the run, being chased by the Centaur. But this is all distraction. The time the Centaur is spending in this area to try and chase a Void Spirit. It is a Void with an Aghanim Shard. You're not going to catch up to him. However, it is very unfortunate. The Hoodwink just barely made it out there and then walked right into the pit of death.
Radiant's middle tower has fallen.
Oh, gets yeeted back towards the rest of them. Oh, of course, Kraken Shell's pretty nice. I love the fact that Tidal Wave also has only a 12-second cooldown. Especially if you steal it on Rubik. There we have it. Tidal Wave. However, they're getting megaed right now. Vic. Let's get the Tidal Wave going. If you want to heat it back with it. No. I don't think he knows how to. I think he wanted to catch out the Kunkka, but if you want to use Tidal Wave, you need to turn around and then hit the other direction. So you be standing here and you want Tidal Wave to go there, then you stand here, cast it there. And the Tidal Wave goes from top to bottom. So you have to pretty much do it in the reverse direction if you want to send people towards you, which in this case I think would be the better choice, to try and get like them underneath the tier 4 towers. Centaur going for his heart. Doesn't have the shard yet though, which is saddening because the shard's amazing. Jump in onto the disruptor. Somehow the stun doesn't land. Disruptor staying alive for a little bit longer, but there's the just getting popped on the back line. Center Stampede, they're charging forward. Nice 2-man torrent coming out. Tide Hunter does have a Ravage available, but with the BKB, Kunkka doesn't really fear too much. Centaur tries to get a stun in, but there's going to be the charge from the Sven. Doesn't pop his BKB in time, gets the stun in the process. The Sven is in trouble. He's dropping low. There's going to go. And Troll mows him down. No buyback available. He pops everything, but forgets about the most crucial, and that's the BKB. They lose the fight, they lose the lane, they lose the game, they lose the series. That is going to be Inverse taking down Team Unknown 2-0 with an absolutely stellar performance. Team Inverse absolutely all in and looking confident every step of the way, looking solid in their drafting capabilities as well. I mean, the Kunkka had a sick game. The Centaur has had 2 absolutely impressive games. Ars and T in a row. I think he had some struggles in the mid matchup, both games in the earlier parts. But for the most part, the Kunkka, you know, he gets himself all the useful tools. The team fight antics coming in, and the Troll just going absolutely nuts this game. I mean, 9-1 and 8. But the amount of building damage, 19k, just mowing down everything left, right, and center. But that means, of course, that a 2-0 victory puts Inverse in a very good spot this DPC already. Looking for that promotion towards Division 1. But of course, that also concludes my cast here. Hopefully you enjoyed the show, ladies and gentlemen. There will be some more shenanigans on the menu coming forward. Quickly going to check for all you fine people at home. The next match that should be starting will be in about an hour and 50 minutes. That's going to be Lava versus Apu, King of Kings. Both teams that promoted from the lower division last season. Definitely have to fear. Again, my name was Dktruman. Hopefully you enjoyed the show, and I'll see you guys next time.